This is the World Organic News for the week ending 6th of February 2017. John Moore reporting. The blog Smallholding Dreams brings us a post, Eating from Your Garden. This post addresses the alleged shortage in the UK of courgettes, that's zucchinis for everyone outside France and the UK, and a shortage of iceberg lettuces. Quote, apparently there's a shortage of iceberg lettuce and courgettes in the shops. Of course there is, it is winter. Seriously, people, what happened to eating seasonal local food? End quote. What indeed? We had a similar situation here during the drought of 80-85 when farmers weren't able to feed themselves, let alone their stock. This was an aha moment for me. Somewhere between settlement and the post-war get big or get out wave sweeping through agriculture, our farmers, or at least enough of them, had moved from homesteaders to agribusinesses. Yet the effort and space required to grow your own food is really quite small. Quote, you really don't need a lot of time or space to grow veggies. I work full-time at a day job, and at weekends I'm the shepherd, beekeeper, dog and goat trainer, chick hatcher, cheese maker and chicken killer butcher here on the small holding, as well as growing all our fruit and veggies. It is amazing what you can do with a few hours a week. End quote. Even in a suburban setting, vegetable production is not that difficult. We did it a few summers back on a 4-foot radius circular garden. By having your food at hand, you just need to pick the number of lettuce leaves you need for each meal rather than picking the whole lettuce. That way it keeps growing. The same thing applies to silver beet, spinach and so on. Beans and peas keep producing pretty much as long as you keep picking them. Zucchini and squash produce so heavily you'll get sick of eating them. 1 square metre of rocket can be trimmed in strips and it will continually regrow. Yes, this gardening will likely lead to chicken ownership, and we all know chickens are the gateway stock to small mammals, but that's not a bad thing. In fact, before you know it, you too will be dreaming of a small holding. The blog, The Green Economist, brings us a post entitled Agroecology, a multifaceted solution. They make this interesting point in regards Asia and Sub-Saharan Africa. Quote, according to the FAO, smallholder farms provide up to 80% of food supply in Asia and Sub-Saharan Africa. Although farmers work small plots of land, average size is 2 hectares, they produce a variety of crops with high yields and very few inputs, such as manufactured fertilizers. End quote. Agroecology may well be the answer for all the world. Small area farms, 2 hectares or 5 acres in the old money, can produce an enormous amount of food, feeding not just the farmers, but sustaining nearby urban settlements. By staying small, the workload for each farm is not excessive, but incomes can be. A turnover of 100,000 per acre is not unheard of in developed economies. In that situation, 4 acres are put to animal husbandry to enrich and maintain the 1 acre of produce. The article goes on to document the application of agroecology in Uganda. Well worth a full read if you are so inclined. Link is in the show notes. Hand in hand with clean food produced by viable farmers, we need a solution to our energy dilemma. Whilst renewables are now the least expensive way to generate power, the question of storage is continually thrown up in argument against a fully renewable system. The blog, Power for USA, with their post Grid Storage Reality provides a workable solution, gives us some hint of what we're up against. Quote, there are currently 20,000 megawatts of pump storage in the United States with the potential for an additional 31,000 megawatts. While substantial, it still falls short of the storage capacity needed to eliminate a large portion of fossil fuel generating capacity. End quote. Yet this is both workable and is working. A similar system is in place in Scotland and another is being built in Queensland, Australia. Basically, pumped storage relies upon the potential energy of a mass at a higher altitude over one at a lower altitude. Water is held in a reservoir. This reservoir is connected by pipes and pumps to a reservoir at a higher altitude, that is, uphill. In the Queensland example, an old gold mine contains the 2 reservoirs. As excess power is generated, say from solar panels during the day, that excess is used to run pumps and drive the water from the lower to the upper reservoir. At night, when demand exceeds supply, The water runs back into the lower reservoir, turning the pumps backwards, so to speak, and turning them from pumps to generators. This is old, well-tested, mature technology. We've had hydroelectric power for over a century. The hydro parts of this system are proven. The setup in Scotland has been running for at least 10 years and is also proven. In that case, they use off-peak, that is, cheaper electricity to drive water uphill and sell electricity to the grid when the prices are higher by letting the water run back downhill. It is a simple matter to replace off-peak with renewable energy. What's stopping us? The usual vested interests, financing, the urgency for the need to change hasn't dawned yet. Who knows what else? We can do this. We can make do with current levels of battery technology and use that to cover the gaps pump storage can't cover. Batteries will continue to improve, but we have the technology we can use now. The more quickly we move, the better. On this technology and on the ideas of agroecology discussed earlier, we can make the leap from polluting to clean. We can make the leap from centralised food distribution to individual food sovereignty. Indeed, we must. And that brings us to the end of this week's podcast. If you've liked what you've heard, could you please follow the link in the show notes and vote for World Organic News in the Australian Podcast Awards? Thanks in advance. Any suggestions, feedback or criticism of the podcast or blog are most welcome. Email me at podcast@worldorganicnews.com. Thanks for listening, and I'll be back in a week.